Is gameplay the true defining feature of a good game? It's definitely more important than graphics, but is it more important than level design? When people talk about what makes a great game, they usually start with gameplay. Is it smooth? Is it fun? Is it balanced? But there's a truth that's often ignored. Gameplay doesn't matter without context. In certain games, especially immersive sims, stealth titles, MMOs, and even classic adventure games, level design doesn't just support gameplay, it defines it. Today we're going to explore several iconic titles where that's exactly the case. And if you like the video, do the thing the algorithm likes. Now let's get into it.
Primarily, I take readings and analyze data. I also provide reference lookup.
Alright, Morgan, I know I can't make you stay put, but you're gonna die down there if you don't listen to me. You need to calibrate your psychoscope. Try scanning the Typhon specimens around you. Once you get enough scanned data, the labs will open.
At a glance, Prey seems like a standard FPS. You shoot aliens, hack computers, you collect loot. But that description misses the point of this game. Prey isn't about combat, it's about freedom through the environment. Talos 1 is a seamless, looping, explorable space. Everything you learn, every shortcut, every detour, every hazard is stored in your mind like you're building your own internal minimap. You see a locked door, you remember there's a vent that loops around to the next wing. You're underpowered for a fight, you can use the glue cannon to make stairs to avoid it entirely now. And you need a specific keycard, well it could be on a body floating outside in space. Prey's gameplay works because the level design gives you the room to be clever. Without that kind of depth and non-linearity, the mimic powers, the neural mods, and the tools that a game gives you wouldn't really mean nearly as much. And I've recently played Prey for the first time, and I think it has some of the best level design in any game I've played. It might be recency bias, but for a modern game, and yes, an almost 10-year-old game is still modern in my mind, but the level design is what's going to bring me back to play this again, and it's just a testament to how important this is. Because the gameplay is a fairly standard FPS, lots of running, jumping, and shooting. Agent 47 has always had a simple core. Kill the target, escape. But what makes Blood Money a masterpiece is the open-ended nature of its levels. Each map is a puzzle waiting to be solved. Infiltrate a wedding by swapping outfits, poison a drink while distracting a bodyguard, or stage a kill to make it look like an accident. It's not the controls of the combat that makes Hitman great, it's the environment. The controls are actually kinda janky. It was released in 2005 and by modern standards it doesn't control that well, but what keeps the game timeless and fun is the level design. Each level is a small ecosystem full of routines, systems and secrets. NPCs follow predictable behaviour, guards can be lured, distracted or even impersonated. The challenge and the joy of this game is learning the level, understanding how it works, and using that knowledge to orchestrate your own methods of completing the objectives. No matter how refined 47's skills could be in this 20-year-old game, they're only meaningful when they're inside this well-crafted sandbox that rewards patience and experimentation. Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, gameplay wise they are the same game, but the world design of New Vegas makes the game so much more captivating in my opinion. Fallout 3's world is still a lot of fun to explore and mess around in, but the design of New Vegas makes the whole experience so much more captivating. And again, these games are very clunky. The shooting isn't that great, and it has a lot of Bethesda jank. But let's compare the maps and understand why world design improves the game experience to a new level. In Fallout 3, you leave the vault, and while you've got a vague direction of where to go, since you are pointed in the direction the game wants you to take, you can really go in any direction without any consequence. And this is fun in its own right. But when gameplay isn't the strongest point of these games, and I know I'm a bit biased, because I think the gameplay is still quite fun, and VATS headshots never get old. There should be a stronger emphasis on the world design for players to be engaged further. Fallout New Vegas, on the other hand, it also gives the impression you can go in any direction, and you can try, but it won't be easy. And typically players will follow this route when starting the game. But why? Well, there's Cazadors here, Deathclaws here, and all the quests tend to lead you south. You'd naturally end up going in the opposite direction of the strip. Compared to Fallout 3, you leave the vault, you see the DC cityscape in the background, and that's where you go. In Fallout New Vegas, you see the strip, and each direct route for a new player is not viable. And this makes the world feel dangerous, with boundaries that you know you might want to think twice about crossing, while Fallout 3 is just a play park of endless exploration. Both are fun, but the design of New Vegas gives the world a deeper meaning when you play it, and that meaning immerses players into having a funner experience. Now, few games have achieved what Deus Ex did back in 2000. Complete freedom is an S-tier immersive sim. Its mechanics, shooting, hacking, stealth, they're clunky by today's standards, but the levels, they're still impressive. Even the first level, Liberty Island, it gives you 4 or 5 different ways to get into the Statue of Liberty, not as a gimmick, but as part of the story, and your choices echo through the gameplay and narrative. You can blow the front doors open and lose your stealth bonus. You can sneak through a sewer and learn about a hidden faction, or you can just hack a terminal to avoid the combat altogether. This is a layered, systemic design. Levels are built to respond to different playstyles. They reward curiosity and clever thinking. And because of that, Deus Ex isn't remembered for its shooting, it's remembered for its freedom to choose, a freedom made possible by its level design. The gameplay by today's standards is kind of rudimentary, but the game remains fun because of the level design and your ability to interact with it. And I've been playing Deus Ex, the revision mod, which it cleans the visuals up and it tweaks a few things as well, and I still highly recommend playing this 25-year-old game, especially when it's on sale for less than a can of Coke. Now let's go back even further. The original Tomb Raiders. These games were built before the fluid third-person controls that we're all used to. The combat's basic, the platforms are grid-based, but despite this, the game still captivated millions of people, and the games are still good today. And why is this? It's because they nailed the atmospheric level design. The levels themselves are the real puzzles. There's massive vertical spaces begged to be explored. The puzzles use, fairly standard spatial logic, but it's great to see if you move a block over here, you then get access to a room over there. And the reward wasn't a cutscene, it was finding your way through the unknown and progressing to the next level. The scale and the solitude of the environments create a real tension. You didn't see enemies around every corner. The architecture itself was your opponent. Modern reboots emphasize action, but the originals proved that when level design is strong, exploration is the gameplay. And I've already talked a bit about Tomb Raider in this video, so if you're interested, please check it out. Now at launch, World of Warcraft didn't have phasing, flying mounts or map markers, and yet it had something few MMOs can match today, a strong world cohesion. Every zone felt handcrafted. The Barrens was huge, slow, and, well, barren, and that was the point. Ashen Vale was dense, it was hostile and easy to get lost in, and dungeons like Blackrock Depths, they were not linear. There were labyrinths that took hours to get through for your first time. Classic Warcraft's magic wasn't in flashy combat rotations, it was the level design that told stories without dialogue. You didn't just go to a new zone, you felt you were there. Its layout, its music, and its difficulty taught you something about the world. Warcraft didn't have just content, it had place, and that made all the difference. And as Chris Metzen said, the world was the main character, not you. And considering the gameplay of WoW is more or less point and click, how can this gameplay keep people playing for thousands of hours? It's because the level design is so captivating. Take some of the dungeons for example. People tend to not like the Stormwind Stockade dungeon because it's boring. It's a bland prison block, and that's it. Yet people love the Deadmines. The gameplay in each of these is more or less the same. You play your role and kill your enemies as a group, but playing in an area that's infinitely more captivating makes all the difference. And finally, let's end things with what I think is one of the greatest games of all time. But you would struggle to argue that the actual gameplay is amazing by any standard. But the example here is to show that if you even improve the gameplay, strangely enough, it doesn't actually make it a better game. Silent Hill 2. Here we have a great comparison with the original and the remake. And this is the best example I can think of. Here in the remake, the gameplay is technically better in almost every way, but the original is still better. So how can the original be better when the gameplay is worse? And I don't think I'm speaking from pure nostalgia, as I've only played the original for the first time about a year and a half ago. And the levels in these games are more or less the same, so we can still set aside level design as well, being a factor. But the aesthetic, the camera, and even the clunky controls plays into the vision of the game. It simply evokes a more powerful experience than the over-the-shoulder third-person shooters we see all the time. I think the point I'm trying to make here is that while gameplay is important, it sometimes isn't the driving force of a great game. And remaking Silent Hill 2 to play like almost everything else, it doesn't make it fun, it just makes it bland and more of the same. And I think, just as a quick aside, a good example of pure gameplay carrying the experience in my mind is the Shadow of Mordor games. I can't even remember what the story is in these games or what's going on, but I can jump back into this game, cleave my way through 100 orcs, and play with the Nemesis system for a few hours, and be content with that experience. It's cathartic, and it doesn't need to be anything more, since the loop is engaging in its own right. And so all these games that we've covered, they share a few things in common, that they give you tools, but more importantly, they give you meaningful places to use them. A gun isn't just a gun until you're choosing to use it or sneak past an enemy. A map isn't just a zone until you're navigating it for survival or just pure discovery. And game mechanics are just a feature until it's tied to a space that challenges and rewards your creativity. Level design is more than just where stuff happens. It's why things feel the way they do. Without strong level design, even the best gameplay can feel shallow. But with it, even simple gameplay can feel profound. That's why, in these games and many others, level design isn't just important, it's everything.